Oh.
Makes it kind of feel a bit pretty.
That was very fun.
We never came.
288 and 311. But I don't know if he was in the restroom or in the other bar or in the hallway.
Oh, okay. Aaron Briggs. He crossing bridges.
It was fun planning it. It was a good team to plan it.
Well, I said it was interesting because I can see sometimes at Alice's and Steve's that were there.
I'm gonna call this out.
Good morning.
You're not supposed to come pretty, but.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry, this issue we don't
Yeah, take this.
That was nice. It goes through. I guess everything goes through papers. Yeah. 30s Hollywood. It's the idea, really. Just do it. Working on fantastic. Oh, absolutely. The simplest easiest way to do it.
Did you get your garage cleaned out, Mark? This is more than a one-day job.
Yeah.
It'll take me all summer if I don't add anything to it.
That's right.
Everything in there needs some attention of some sort, so. It's for.
Cameron was home for the weekend. Finished oil on our car. Doing a few other maintenance things, and I had ordered a new serpentine belt because it's squeaky a little bit. I fought with that thing for like more than an hour, and then I finally went and looked up on the internet. I must be not putting this belt on it right. I looked it up and I was doing it right, and I gave up on it, and then I went back out like later in the day and did it again for another 35 minutes. I couldn't get on it. I finally realized the belt, the number on the belt was different than that package. So they sent me the wrong belt, so no wonder I couldn't get it.
At least you have the right package.
I couldn't believe it. It's like, no wonder I did. It's so frustrating.
That's just about your eyes.
I was, well, anyway, I was.
I've been there.
Oh.
Trade into the rabbit.
The one on the right side.
That's the back. That's the back.
That one right there.
Yes.
Don't mind my reach. I know. Running behind because I had to talk to Dennis.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it would be in here.
Yeah, he was looking for you. He was in here.
It wasn't. I told him he could get on the agenda and talk to all of you, but he didn't, he declined to do that, so. It's like that.
Thanks.
How does he even, does he live in, just in the sewer district area anymore? I thought I heard that he moved out of the,
He was living in Austin, but I don't know if he lives there right now or not.
but even when he didn't live there, he was awfully concerned about it.
Yeah.
Well, some of what he says does make sense, but
Yeah.
Who's the one that does the testing and oversight down there?
no,
Who is that?
not even worried about that.
Yeah.
Actually,
That's the one that's always keeps saying that they should have put in meters to
Yeah.
measure the water flow. Charging by hookup, which kind of makes sense, other than it's really expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah, you can't.
well, that's right now, he was just
We can't
talking
afford to put
about
them
doing it by how many people live in the house. Charge per person, which,
Well, then you gotta have somebody that's gonna read it.
Who's gonna enforce that?
You gotta have the software to read the meters and it does it automatically and bill it and all the rest of that stuff.
yeah, that's why he didn't want to meter it, he just wanted to do it by head count.
Or, you could probably, and that's up to the sewer commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they could do a residential versus a commercial. So, I mean, that's what. I
That would be
thought.
relatively easy.
Yeah. That you get.
I think almost all the other cities, don't you do it over in Noxious? We do, every place else got a commercial rate and a residential rate.
No,
Yeah.
ours is just within city limits and outside city limits. Then it's so much for flat, so much for the first 1,000 gallons, and then so much per gallon. after
Yeah, they
that.
had down at Fort, they got the, because of the co-op, they got so much water usage down there. That's where it's usually.
But his dense is commented like the zipper, the same.
Yeah.
Somebody living in
In a
the
single household.
by themselves,
Yeah.
which probably isn't technically. It's really up to the Peter commission,
Yeah.
the board there. How's it going? Good awesome.
Well,
Love this weather.
Yeah, very happy to be here at a meeting.
Well, it's still muddy out there, so you can't drive off the road yet.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to do that too much. Pretty soft.
Well,
we'll get started with anybody that so chooses, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order with everyone present. Shirley's just outside.
phone call.
Yep. As a reminder, the meeting is being recorded. If you choose not to be recorded, you have the option of leaving. First item on the agenda this morning is Steve and Shane Sexton, Burr Township, Section 14. Good morning.
No.
We have a half-acre piece that the county owns that can join to our piece, completely landlocked. And we would like this, likely a good thing.
I take it you know something about this.
Yeah, she stopped in here and asked about it several times, actually. And basically, we feel through lack of taxes. It's not on the tax roll. We don't know who the owner is. We traced it back to the 1867 when it was created, but there's never been a transfer of that land to anybody else since then. So,
And this is like a blow up of the area, and then this one here on the back of your map is the actual. Silver, half an acre of land that.
in 1879, it was like the auditor asked for a survey of the area, so they created lot 1 and lot 2. Lot 2 is that sliver of land.
Yeah.
And there's no transfers of lot.
Still, it's in the boundary of what they're.
Yes.
There's no access, no any. I remember seeing this on the map when I was going through all the county properties.
So it'd been more like a wood lot, somebody.
It's not even, that's what we thought, it's not even a wood lot. I mean, it's just.
Maybe there would be two lots.
Wood lots are, usually 10 acres apiece, so it'd be enough.
The neighbor to the north had claim to it, back in the 1860s. So it may have been a cattle pass down to the creek back in the day. That's the only thing that makes any sense. But it's been long since fenced and used as it is currently. So that's where a quick claim deed from the county to get out of our name. Won't put us in any liability of any kind. That I talked to Andy Vanderbott this morning, but he's not around right now, so. I don't think Andy had a problem with it either by our emails in the past.
So who's been using it?
Sextons have been using it.
It's just.
Cause it's just in there,
That's right.
their fence goes up.
I'm 59, so it's at least that long.
Yeah.
It's decades.
Our opinion, at least when Mike worked with our office, is that we don't have any issue doing it, but we don't know who really owns it. So that's why we're only offering a quick claim deed. And we wanted Andy to do the paperwork, but before we get Andy involved, we wanted them to come ask you to make sure that you're okay with proceeding.
Makes
Yeah,
makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve a quick clean deed for.
That's.
I'm sorry, I was not in here. Is it just vacating?
Yeah.
Or,
We're not,
I don't,
We're
Not
not
vacating.
vacating,
Not
we don't
vacating.
even own it.
I don't
So-
think we want to move to approve the deed. We'll just
Have
have
them proceed with.
proceed, have Andy proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's since 1860s. And 1870 was the last thing, and there's no real ownership of it, so the
Oh.
county
And
got
it's-
listed as the owner.
oh.
And it's in their section of land is.
Mhm.
I think to be able to actually give them a quick claim deed, you'll have to have a public hearing and all that. So we'll
Yeah.
just get the process started. If you guys are on board and with their request.
Makes all the sense in the world to me.
Is that something that the roads department needs to be part of that process? I don't
That's,
see-
you know, this year, because it really isn't the roads, there really is.
I just asked Mike to come since he was the one who worked with Lori and my office to do the research, so they knew all those dates and what
And
the history was.
it's all platted out and everything already right now. It's a lot.
it's a lot from 1877, I believe, is when it was
So
platted.
there's no surveying need to be done or anything.
Nope, lot two, quick claim could make it go really easy.
So I've got Mark and Steve making a motion to proceed with the public hearing and deed process.
All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I think this is a good thing to clean up a
Just
little remnant parcel.
Like I told them, we've had quite a
Needed
few
to be
of
dealt
these.
with.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
You've got cattle out there that can still use that path.
Yeah, so you can just go ahead with whatever.
It'll take most of a month to get the paperwork, do a public hearing, get the deed ready and all that. We'll let you know when. When we're ready to do the next steps. Okay?
Gotta have a public hearing so people can dispute it if they would like to. But I don't see much of a problem in this.
Yeah, I
case.
mean, there's no, yeah, I know,
It's well, it's leadership.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you guys don't have to hang out, but you're welcome to listen to the rest of
Yeah.
the meeting.
If you wanna be bored, you can stick around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, that's another one of those pieces.
Yeah.
170.
Yeah.
There's crazy.
How, there's a lot of us speak of it, there's just not a record of who owns it, so it says the county owns
To
it.
the county.
Yeah.
We got some crazy little servers and everything. up there.
Yes, yeah,
Oh, do we have any committee reports? Do this a little different. We got a little time here.
At the policy board meeting we did last week, yeah,
Wednesday or Thursday last week.
yeah,
Yeah,
It wasn't a whole lot,
There wasn't, they.
just, they're gonna put a trail from like Culver's up to Park Street there. They're gonna take part of that bluff out and put a bike trail through there when they do the Highway 9 project.
So they're blasting it as part of this Highway 9 project, but it's gonna be left open until the city could make funds.
Yeah.
For that trail, the Upper Explorer Tech Committee, Howard County ended up having some funds left over from their project. That Tech Committee voted to allow city decor to use towards this trail. So
Yeah, so it's
get the project down.
440,000 for
Correct.
just pretty much the trail part, not
Yeah.
the blasting or that's a separate issue.
That's part of
This here, it's 440,000 they got for just the trail purpose of it.
That would be nice. It's kind of a, can't really get from there to there without walking
Yeah.
up the highway.
Yeah, they're blasting that, is to improve sight distance and everything else. And I just leave a void down, we'll be able to address that. And when I say we, I should say city decor will be able to address that void sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So.
Northeast Iowa Workforce Board had a special meeting because they're again considering a merging with the central district to combine the two areas, and that's just in the beginning stages, and whether or not it's a wise thing or not is yet to be determined, and there'll be some another meeting later this week again, but it's probably it's kind of, it's maybe at the best of 50-50 to decide if that's going to be any beneficial to our district up here, which is 20 counties, and then adding that this east central district to us would, I don't know that it's going to benefit, but we'll see when they get further through it to find out. It would provide for some, better utilization of combined insurances and audits and some administrative staff reduction would be possible from doing it. But at this point, it's still, is it the best for our services up here is yet to be determined. So to be continued.
I've got community action in West Union tonight, and we're in a good year of fundraising. So again, a plea to the public, if you'd like to give any money, community action can certainly use funding.
Good. I've got a Hawk meeting this afternoon. Hopefully we'll be hiring a new director. It's a part-time 20-hour-a-week director thing and some other things to clean up. And then I'll be conference board at 3:45.
3:45.
Well, that's today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interviews.
I had Winneshiek County Development and Tourism. That was pretty much totally discussing changes in the bylaws and the members and stuff like that. So not a whole lot to report on that.
We have the ISAC visit on Wednesday.
Wednesday. 1 o'clock here.
Is it 1 or 12?
I had it down at 1. Shirley, you think
Good.
that's
Sure.
If I was to guess, it was 1.
I'd say probably is 2.
I have down 1.
Okay.
And I'll send out one more reminder, maybe like tomorrow.
That'd be great.
Or even Wednesday morning.
And I know that I think Jamie Cashman is planning on being here. I think Joel.
Oh, good.
Joel's
IT.
planning to be here. He said so when we were down in.
I asked him about it because we've got some of these things that are coming up on AI and the rest of that. They're maybe get some more information on that and some policies that we ought to look at as a county.
Joel, what's Joel's last name?
Road.
The IT coordinator.
He's been real helpful to
I
us.
don't think I've met Joel.
I've also got RC&D this week on Thursday.
I think you're close enough to 9:45, Mike.
Okay. I'll just go through, there's not a whole lot of news this week. Build grant, there's nothing new this week. Bridge inspector, nothing new this week. Bridge study, there's nothing new this week. And then subdivision data, there's nothing new this week. Equipment operator 2 position, is open to the public and is open to the public until Friday. So far, there's been 2 applicants. This is kind of a harder position to fill. It requires skills on the excavator, so that's limits the pool a little bit. Nothing new with the Quarry Hill project. The 2027 CFYP has been submitted to the DOT. That DOT, the submittal, brought up a little bit of brought something up to my attention that, our highway bridge program funding is maxed out. So I'll have to, get a 2027 budget to you next week. Blessing, some local funds being put towards, the overage on that. I do have 2027 print out projects here. I got 2 copies with me. If the board would like to see that. Any questions on that? Yeah.
How much are you talking about using? Generally speaking, we don't, if it qualifies for
We're talking about
funding in other sources, we don't like to put a lot of local funding, save that for local only projects. So I was wondering how much it's gonna,
We're looking at about 200,000.
so it isn't a major.
No,
investment, but
no. And the highway bridge program funding, when I first outlaid this, the yearly allocation, I think, has gone down a little bit recently, so one of the reasons why there's a,
Cause I'm sure bridges are getting cheaper.
we've had some excellent bids, so
Okay.
knock on wood, so.
Is one of these bridge projects, smaller bridge projects, the one
That's
up
the
by
299,
up by,
and that's the bridge that I'm talking about. Perhaps putting local funds in and getting it done to calendar year.
Okay.
2027. So,
And we are trying to take action on this date. This is information.
This
We
is
gotta get the
information.
DOT's blessing before we do it.
yep, the CFYP has been submitted for their approval, but I don't have a budget yet that reflects that exactly. So that's work that I will do probably today.
If you want to get, if it changes from what you've already submitted, I would like to get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to look at that exactly because I was pretty conservative, I think, on a lot of the other numbers, so. I don't know if I'm just gonna just take it out of the balance or if I'm gonna try to finagle one line item or 2 line items to make up the difference.
Close.
And I guess the next line item of the report. I mentioned last week that another bidder was interested in perhaps doing our resurfacing bid. Strong Quarry asked that they be considered. So spent some time with the DOT materials and went out and did a site visit to Strong Quarry. They have excellent rock by all metrics. Problem is going to be they've got a long haul from Lansing to. So what I decided to do is to include the quarry because they requested that. It's a single operator. They only have one quarry. Will this affect the bid? I don't know, but I did decide to include them on as an additional quarry. And for next year, I have already changed the spec on that resurfacing rock to, high quality quarries in that bid. So that was sent out on Friday. We will see if there's any issues with that. Expect to probably get a phone call or two. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I have the message printed out right here. If you want to read that. It outlines the steps that I took to try to make it fair for everyone.
I think we still have.
Then I can finish it up real quickly as that gets passed around. We're still advertising for summer help, summer tech help, and for roadside mowers. I think we have who we want. We just haven't heard back from everyone yet as to whether or not they will accept our offers. We have a mower. We have a mower and a tech situation where one of the techs is out of high school. He's an applicant. We have 2 spots. One of them we're going to include someone from last year. We got someone else who has been through the county system and has been through a year of college that we want to hire as a tech. And then we have another person has job shadowed me. Fortunately, he's just out of high school and trying to give preference to people who are ready to go into the county system. The idea here is that we would hire him as possibly hire him as a mower and then get him some tech experience. I've talked with Ben on that payment, so we might pay him for a little bit of tech work on one end, and then out of the roadside budget have another timesheet filled out for just the mowing. So it should. We'll see if he's amenable to that. But right now we've got to get the person got an offer up. Somebody who's down in Mexico right now. So that's the situation. So we're waiting to hear back.
He might come back.
Hope
Has that younger person had experience driving tractor or not?
He does. He works on a golf course. He's flown drones. He's operated lots of different things. He's an excellent candidate for both positions in my mind. He's the only one that sent the cover letter, resume, very professional. Even at 18 years old, that's why I kind of want to get him in our system as best we can. So, anyways, that's kind of the decision matrix that we went through this week on that. Road embargoes. I don't anticipate putting up road embargoes. We'll see, but that is probably doubtful. And then finally, there's pre-construction meeting for bridges 307 and 126 on Thursday, March 12th. Bridge 307 will likely start on March 30th, so next week, which is excellent news for us. And then the same crew will be working on Bridge 126. There will be some overlap between the 2 bridges with the same crew. But that's the engineer's report. I did attend the Upper Exploreland meeting. I think it was on Wednesday. And nothing material to report there. The addendum that I requested went through, and that's just had to do with changing the project name, similar to what we did for our contract.
Was that on town line just east of W14 right there? Was that a washout on that short bridge culvert, or was that something happened there?
There was something that happened there. I don't know what it was. I know that it was handled by the superintendent. And
Yeah, I saw
I know something was going on while I was out of the office. So,
Yeah, I saw the crew out there,
yep.
digging it up and trying to put it back, whatever.
Yeah, I know something pretty big happened. I
Yeah,
don't know what it was.
when I saw a loader instead of a blade on town line, it looks a little odd.
I think so. There was a going off memory here, because I haven't been briefed. But if I go off memory, it was something about we were losing some rock near a bridge or a culvert, and we had to stabilize the bottom and backfill the lost material. So
Yeah,
that's going up. That's, like I said, that was something that happened, and I was in and out of the office.
it just looked like a day job, but it was enough to
Yeah,
put it down to one lane there and direct traffic.
sure. So, sorry, I can't provide anything concrete, if you will.
It's not a 10 by any means.
So,
That was the insurance.
the insurance, yeah, HCAP, they came to visit our shops. I don't. That's interesting. Yeah, they
ICAP actually, but yeah, they ICAP engaged in appraisal service to come and look at our buildings and so on. So they started, Tony showed them around here in the old jail and the annex and took them down to the community service building. And then they went with Michael to some of the road shops. They went down to law enforcement and looked at some of their facilities. And then we told him he didn't really need to go and look at the old DHS building, because this is for the July 1 renewal, and hopefully we don't have it still then. He said he would just do a drive-by there, so.
Yeah, he came to a couple of the shops down in Freeport, and then I just let him do his thing on the rest of them.
So that might affect our the values on some of our buildings when our renewal comes due, because they were just reappraising them to make sure they're the right range.
That is it.
Thank you.
Any-
Carry this to you this time, because I don't have a block on the throwing. No.
Yes,
Needed to have my broom, but if it slid, yeah.
well, I have Ben's attention, for Bridge 320. We have a draft for we have not a draft, we have the contract that, I'd like to have on the agenda for next week, to approve the, contract.
320 contract,
Yep.
and I assume you don't have the Port Atkinson 28E yet. So should
I
we
do
put
not have the.
that on next week too.
Yep.
Yeah, I think their meetings next week.
They have April 1st.
I think it's April 1st.
Yes. So I don't.
That's his role. You can submit that now, or
They are submitting now, yes. We've had a couple people working on that.
the deadline is what?
I don't even know. It's in May, I think. So. Sometime in May.
Which is not far away.
No, it isn't. It feels like we're in the middle of March, but we're on the tail end. So. That is all I have.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. What do we have for consent agenda?
Minutes, claims, and the monthly report. All we have.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Yes. You get to pick. Was a tie. A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
I,
Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimous.
Oh yeah, Northeast Iowa Transit running a Luther to Walmart run on Saturdays from 6 to 11. They got stopping points. They're just in a trial. They had 73 residents use it last
Wow.
time. Yeah, so they're just doing it on a trial
That's
basis
wonderful.
to see if it's gonna work.
It's good. Saves a lot of traffic.
Well, and then for the-
Steve's the only person who had anyone file a competition for the primary elections.
Just a former Bruning employee, or I think he still works for Brink.
People could file independently up until,
They can file no party up until the day of the primary election, so June 2nd, yeah.
So that was the only other person period in all three for both of us.
And, yeah, nobody filed for recorder or treasurer or county attorney to run as a party affiliation. And Jane and Chuck have filed to run general with no party affiliation, and Tim is planning to file to run in the no party affiliation for the general. He's getting signatures yet. So on
so
the
people can
primary.
file as no party up through the
June-
primary.
June 2nd, yeah, that's changed. It used to be through August, but
Yeah.
but they don't want people who lose in the primary to turn around and file for something is no party for the general. So,
Makes sense.
so it basically they just make that the deadline now for filing for no party.
What about the county attorney?
So Chuck,
That's Chuck.
Oh,
the assistant county attorney has filed as no party.
okay.
Now, that all precludes the fact, like this happened for Mark Paul 4 years ago, that the parties could still convene a convention in the summer if nobody wins to run in the primary, and they can name a candidate. So it doesn't preclude getting a person to be added later, but
It's interesting.
yeah. So that can happen too, but at least for now, Steve is the only one that has competition that I filed.
Completely. Oh. The conference board. I took those questions that Jim sent out and expanded them on the sheet to leave, lineage. So if you want to write down some comments when we're doing the interviews. So I'll stop over and talk to Jim and see how many he's expecting to show up tonight and then run enough copies for everybody.
That's 3:45 here.
Yes.
Okay.
Could be up to 18. people.
Yeah, but
But
that's never gonna happen.
There's no,
as of this morning, you hadn't heard from too many.
Yeah, I think.
at least we get 2 from each entity is what we need.
Yeah, Keith said he wouldn't be here.
Because we never have a mayor from Castville yet. I think those two ever showed up as long as I've been on the conference.
When are you expecting the report from Aaron Denner?
he had a couple questions too this week, over the weekend, that I have to respond, and so I think he's basically got it ready. So hopefully we'll have it this week at some point.
So as of this morning, he had 2 from schools, 2 from mayors, and Dan, me, and you for supervisor. So that would be a minimum.
I think I responded to him, so
Well, I guess I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think we'll all 5 be here.
Mark said he hadn't
I haven't
responded,
responded.
planning to come.
Oh, okay.
When I interviewed, when Jim got the job, when I interviewed for that job, it was kind of intimidating because there was like 15 people. They had almost the whole conference.
Wow.
Yeah, well, there was one, North Wind was an additional one, so there could have been one more person at that time.
It would be nice if there were more people coming
Yeah.
today. We'll see who shows up, but it would be good for more people to be there.
Part of it is it's at late afternoon rather than 6 o'clock.
Yeah. People are working.
Well, that seems to be true in a lot of different boards like that that are with both the schools and the mayors and so forth, that we don't get the same attendance.
Well, and it would be nice if no one showed up. So we wouldn't have to go into a closed session and then take care of all that and then come out of the closed session and go back into a closed session.
Well, but they'll be online.
You'd have to have no. 2 of the entities not represented would have to. In the closed session, so it'd be just you guys at that point, unless there was just one from the other, right? If you get 2 from either one of the other entities, then you've got them at 2 of the voting blocks, so then it's then it can open meeting, closed meeting situation. There's only 3 voting. Only 3
There's only
votes.
3 votes.
Yeah, so as long as you have 2 of them that can vote, because there's at least, they meet the minimum.
Yeah.
2 people from 2 of them, then you have to worry about the open and closed session.
Did the treasurer get any responses back from people over the letter sent out
Oh,
that explained?
Oh, we've had lots of, and it's been the treasurer and my office and the assessor's office are all getting calls on the letter.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah. Well,
Mark and I were
it
discussing that.
still is not very, I mean, they keep, every year they tweak what the examples are supposed to be, but they still aren't really the best examples. I just tell people the important part is that you know when the public hearings are for each of the entities. So if you want more information, you now know where to show up and when to hear the public hearing. That's the important part of that.
I mean, we can read it and understand it because.
Yeah, well,
we
Kind
live
of.
it,
Kind of.
Kind
Kind
of.
of.
Mark and I were discussing that the other night. I said, I'd like to believe I know what's going on here, but reading this, it confuses even.
it is, it's confusing because it's all kind of made up numbers, because it takes an example property of a certain value, which may or may not be representative of your property, and then it assumes a increase in 10% increase in value, which nobody knows if that's what the increase is going to be, and then it calculates what the tax would have been under the old levy rate, and then how much it would be. Anyway.
And it went up a significant number.
I think the more useful thing that has been done is the pie chart.
The pie chart.
Oh, yeah, pie charts.
It's a little more easy for people to see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they're saying.
Well, I think anything would explain it better than what they have.
I looked at, I
Two
couldn't read it.
pages
It's
of
like,
numbers
oh,
that nobody wants to look at.
Yeah. One of the bills, one of the versions of the new property tax bill in the state house would allow people in the future to opt out of the mailing. Like they could choose to have it emailed or just not get it. So at least that would save us the expense of, if that part passes. I don't know if it will pass because there's still.
Well, how about they just do the right thing and just get
rid of it completely,
We made a huge mistake by
requiring this.
And
I'll never admit a mistake.
I recommended, since we have, well, I guess we could get going down the agenda, but I've recommended that it's an unfunded mandate to counties. So if they really want to do this, and the way it works is the cities, the schools, and I submit all of our information to the Department of Management.
They send it back.
And then they send it back to me to send to a company to get it mailed. So the Department of Management already has the information first.
They could just do the
So
mailing.
they could do the mailing. If the state really wants the mailing, why don't they have the Department of Management do the mailing? Then it's not an unfunded mandate of counties, and then they can field the questions or,
Overall, it's cheaper to have a mass mailing. done.
yes, oh, it's way cheaper to have a mass mailing than to have each county do their own
And
thing.
so how much did you spend on the mailing?
I haven't got the bill yet for this year, but last year was $8,500 or something like that we spent, 8,000, somewhere in there.
Something nobody understands.
Yeah.
It really just
Yeah.
confuses people.
Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, next up on the agenda, miscellaneous items, first of which is the noxious weeds resolution.
The noxious weed resolution that Doug put together. Same wording as every year.
And no new weeds.
When we asked last year if we could add weeds, and he said, no, only the ones the state allows can be on there.
I'd move to approve the noxious weeds resolution.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve the noxious weeds resolution.
Okay, yes.
Shirley.
Yep.
Mark.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
I also passes unanimously.
You just add them all parts.
Yeah.
Don't know why they're so against that. I guess it's
Maybe
maybe
it would
not a
cost,
It would cost a
It was
lot.
It's not every place, I don't.
it would bankrupt the system if they put it on there.
Next up, Appoint Vermace as state and federal opioid settlement contact
First to appoint Shirley Vermace as state and federal opioid settlement
second that.
contract person.
I think since she's basically.
I don't
with the
think you're
charge.
getting onto this, Shirley.
I did not, that's fine.
Have a motion and a second to appoint Shirley Vermace as the state and federal opioid settlement contact person. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously.
Good thing Shirley didn't vote no.
Just an update on that too. The state has additional funds separate from the ones we get anyway, that people can apply for projects that are all on Exhibit E, which are the technical uses of these funds. And there are 2 or 3 entities in our region that are applying for these additional grants, which will really help.
How many years out are these funds still going to be distributed?
There were some, as many as
15.
15, I'm gonna say 10, but yeah, there were some of them that were many years worth. There were some that received a many year payment information, and just lump summed it just to get it over with. And I mean, it's kind of varies from the different entities that are involved.
So some of the projects coming up involve education, training, going out to we'd like to get it on the next 6 county meeting. I think is Howard County next for 6th county meeting. On the agenda for the supervisors at that meeting, I'd really like to get an opioid discussion, because Winneshiek County is using our funds and making a difference with our funds, but all of our surrounding counties should be contributing more of their funds to the same things we are. So we'll have that discussion at the 6th county meeting, hopefully.
There hasn't been any information on that next 6 county meeting yet, has it?
Not that I
No.
know.
Say, you said policy board meeting that was discussed in Howard County.
Howard's next.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have Mike put a question into Howard County Engineer Nick. Say, hey, is it coming up soon?
How was that left with the patching on the cement where we put filled in and there was some rotting on the previous wall?
Oh, yeah, that's until we get past all the frost, I don't think anybody wants to do.
No, but I mean, is that automatically gonna happen?
That's gonna happen, yeah. Hubka will finish that out.
And then they're gonna finish that gate this week.
That's the plan. They had to redo the mounting posts.
Then we've got new paint will go, I think, April 1st week in the small courtroom, and then followed with carpet to match what's put in the main courtroom. It probably hasn't been done in 30 years in there.
Probably longer than that. All right.
I got all those books moved out of that corner room a few weeks ago, and then last week I finally got them all put on the shelf. Jail, so those
I think it's the racks. I think you finished the racks.
finished taking the rack out of there too, so in that corner room over there is ready for. There's still junk that needs to be moved, but nothing that's important is left in there, so it could be carpeted and painted and whatever.
We could move John in there, is what you're saying?
Wherever you think you need to move. I think
Maybe we could save some of the carpet to recarpet in there.
Come on. Next up on the agenda, Krista, Vanden, Brink, public health,
It'd be an upgrade.
department update and
Good morning,
funding for
Krista.
new charging station.
at least you didn't say that you were gonna move Krista over there.
But that's what he.
I think Luke ought to have corner office.
Yeah. I think he would take the one at that corner that Reggie did and make.
It might be sitting down.
That corner, the north, that's a pretty nice office, actually.
Oh, mine's always up.
It's all yours, Krista.
All right, so some updates for you. Just a couple of things here. Start. So we are working on a variety of different grants that are coming due. Different grants have different focuses this year. So for instance, our local public health services contract, instead of working on, say, leadership and governance and public health infrastructure, now what we are focusing on are called the foundational public health services. And so what they're identifying as areas that need to be specific to all communities include communicable disease control, chronic disease and injury prevention, environmental, public health, maternal, child and family health, and access to and linkage with clinical care. Underneath all those are some different capabilities of doing assessments and surveillance, doing policy development, having equity, of course, is being a big emphasis, emergency preparedness and response, performance management, community and partner development, and communications. So lots of things that are happening there. So our grant looked different in our application. However, we're still going to do all those things. We've been doing them anyway. And so there's that. The advisory committee has met a few times now, and we actually were able to develop our final and new public health mission statement and our vision statement, as well as value statements. And so it's been interesting for me to be able to compare that work to the work that you as supervisors are doing in trying to draft some goals. They're not quite lining up, but we've got two different entities that are doing this. So I want to just share our mission statement with you because most of you have not heard this. So our mission statement is that our mission is to serve as a central hub for health equity in Winneshiek County by promoting wellness, preventing illness, and advocating for the needs of all residents. We provide a trusted and inclusive landing place where people can access resources, education, and compassionate, non-judgmental care. And so we had our community members that sat through and worked through a process with Stephanie Preevy from Iowa HHS, who took the words that we were saying and said, yeah, this is what this looks like. So of course, some AI is used into the creation of this, and there were a few edits with all of this too. And so we really feel that this is great work. And so we have this, and then we did our SWOT analysis. And so with our SWOT analysis, now what's going to come out is what we would call our areas or priority areas, and then they'll develop some goals. So
SWAT stands for.
SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And instead of calling it weaknesses, they like to call it areas of improvement, which is a better way to put it, but SWOT just works better for acronyms. So the priority areas that have come up as some workforce sustainability, infrastructure enhancement, and community partnerships. And so again, Stephanie and Preeti took the information that we had put together or just kind of just shared and came up with some different goals. So one of those talks about succession planning. And we've talked about this before. I've been trained in it. The problem is you need time. You need dedicated time to sit and write down everything that you do once a year, once a month, every day. And so identifying what those things are. The thing is, we all do things so automatically. You all do, Ben does, I do, we just do it. And we don't sit down and write, okay, well, if the bus hits me, this is what we need to do. Somebody needs to do this. It's taking that dedicated time to do that, okay? And so that is something that we'll be working on. So making some changes to our website is another goal that we have. So just lots of good things that are happening with that advisory committee in doing that good work. So got another meeting coming up and we'll see what comes out with those goals. That'll be exciting. So, and we are also going to be doing some work with a few other counties. So the Cancer in Iowa report came out for 2026. I have not digested it yet. Winneshiek County still looks like we are kind of lower for cancer rate, so that's a good thing, okay? We've got some good access to services and people are able to hopefully continue to access that. Not sure what this will look like in the grand scheme of things, so a few counties actually wrote for a much larger project for the state. And so we just received emails that, okay, we're going to be getting ready to start our work. And so how are we interested in having them help us? So that's a good thing, all right? So all of that is good news. So as you know, a month ago or so, we let a couple people go. And so we're still trying to figure out what that looks like. We're into spring, eventually we'll go into summer and we deal with people being on vacation all the time. And so we figure out how that works in the summertime. Once we hit fall, winter, when we're doing flu shots, some of those seasonal things, it'll be a little different. So we're still trying to figure out what that new norm is, but still trying to be positive in how we proceed with that. So we've had.
Do you want to just give an update so everyone's on board about how many employees you have, like part-time, full-time, that kind of
Yeah, we have.
what they're doing?
We have total 5 total employees, right? We have. Count. We have 2 part-time people. One is a part-time nurse and one is a part-time homemaker. And then we have a full-time home care aide, a full-time office / billing / fiscal person, and myself. So just 5 of us doing.
And actually, one of the nurses has been the one that is actually part-time
Part-time.
has actually been working enough to be full-time.
She has been. So we dealt with 9 pertussis cases, whooping cough cases. And that actually, he's rolling his eyes down there. So the crazy thing is these people were vaccinated, okay? And so just to give you a little background, the vaccine is not 100%. There isn't a vaccine out there that is 100%. And so we had issues where some people came into contact with pertussis, whooping cough. Where it actually originates, we don't know, okay? But that's part of our investigative process. So once we receive notification, we're making phone calls to, if they're minor, to the parents. Sometimes those parents will just say, I'm gonna put my child on the phone because they know who they've been around. Other times we're talking with just adults, right? Trying to gather, again, where have you been? Do you work? Do you have, if you're a student, do you have an after-school job? What does that look like? Do you have a boyfriend, girlfriend? all of those social aspects that we have to take a look at. And how long have you been around those people? So it's not just a 5-minute phone call. It's many times a 20, 30, 45, sometimes an hour-long phone call. Just trying to gather all that information. And that usually leads you to, I need to call this person and this person and this person. Do you have their phone numbers? So of those 9 positive pertussis cases that we had, there were 62 contacts that we had to also contact. Some of those individuals were family members. And so you could do, say, 1 phone call and capture 3 people. So that happened a couple of times, but overall, it's all of those contacts. Do you have any symptoms? If you do develop symptoms, this is what you need to do. You know, and the whole thing is you are very confidential. You're not sharing that information with anybody of, oh, it was Joe, you know, Joe Schmo who had pertussis that you came in contact with. They usually know because they talk, right? And obviously you're trying to figure out where did these people come into contact. Sometimes you can identify that, sometimes you can't. And sometimes, so Winneshiek County, we have 3 different school districts, right? Is there any overlap? There is, right? There's lots of sporting events that happen, academic, fine arts events. So, you know, speech, all your swimming stuff, all your basketball, wrestling, you know, your solo and ensemble projects. Those things are huge. And there's lots of students that participate in those, whether they're from Winneshiek County or from any other county. It's kind of a melting pot there of a lot of students. And so that becomes an issue, but don't just think about students, think about adults. We go to meetings, we travel, you know, you take vacations, you can go from here to, you know, the Bahamas in a short amount of time, right? And so you don't necessarily know what you've been exposed to on the plane. So there's all of that too.
Yeah, and if you think you might have it, go to the doctor, because it is a really short 1-week treatment and you will get rid of it. Don't prolong it like I did.
Okay,
That's a few years.
we can
back.
talk later.
That's a few years back and it was no fun.
So with whooping cough, I'm gonna just pull from him what he said. So once you've been diagnosed, you need to stay home for 5 days on those antibiotics, which is a completely different treatment than, say, if you have strep throat or even pneumonia. So if you have strep throat or pneumonia, you can go back to school, work after 24 hours of antibiotics. Pertussis is the one outlier where you treat it completely different. Okay, and so it does become a big deal. We are starting to, of course, see some vaccine hesitancy. So has that contributed to this? Again, our individuals were vaccinated. Vaccine does wear off, which is important for us as adults. We're all adults in this room to make sure that we get that tetanus shot with the pertussis. So some of you are newer grandparents, right? And so some of those moms and dads want to make sure that their baby is protected. And so we make sure that the mother has the pertussis vaccine. They also make sure that the father does. And some of those parents are insisting that grandpa and grandma do too before they come and hold the baby, which is not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing to do. There have been a few bills introduced in the legislature about reducing or eliminating the vaccine requirement for, say, school, particularly secondary school. So they're talking high school. We don't think that that's going to make any traction. We're hoping not, partially because that means we're going to do more and more investigations, all right? And so that's going to tie up more time to take care of all these people, because you can't just let them fly under the radar. You have to address those things, trying to reduce the communicability. So the other thing that has changed is the number of people who have to be treated. So back in the day, Dan, that you referenced, we treated pretty much anybody who was considered a close contact. We sat by Shirley, Shirley had it, yep, we were gonna go ahead and treat you. But if it was only an hour, well, maybe we wouldn't have done that. And now we're being much more scrupulous about who we're treating. So if Dan's not at high risk, he doesn't necessarily get treated. So that definition has changed a little bit. So lots of people hours spent doing those investigations. So There will be more. There will be more investigations that will be happening just because there's more diseases.
Well, it's interesting because looking back, we figured out where I got it. It was at a state bowling in Cedar Rapids. And out of the 5 of us on the team, 2 of us ended up with it. After I finally, my wife convinced me I had it. And I told her I didn't. She played an audio of it. And I'm like, okay, I got it. So that's why I went to the doctor. I had been fighting it for a while, and then I went to the doctor, got the medication, and I called my friend up and said, hey, if you got whooping cough, get to the doctor. So he did likewise, and all is well.
And as adults, our cough is different. So people who are unvaccinated and the children, they have that typical whoop of a cough. For us as adults, it's that naggy, dry.
It's more, I'm just associated with a cold.
Right. Because most times people feel okay. They typically don't have a fever. They may or may not have a stuffy nose. But everybody's symptoms are a little different with all this. So there's probably more pertussis walking around than what any of us wants to realize. And I'm glad that your significant other did go ahead and record that, because we don't think of it. We're like, I'm not copying that much until you hear it. You're like, oh yeah, there's that realization. So that's an okay thing.
With this anti-vaccination movement right now, at levels of public health in the state, are you all talking about increase in disease and preparing for that?
Right. So we've been dealing with pertussis for several years. So keep in mind during COVID, and I know that's a dirty word, we don't like to talk about that. During COVID, when people were isolated and away from each other, we didn't have the pertussis components, right? Now that people have gotten back together, we expected to have some pertussis. So it's cyclic is what it is. And so we knew that this was happening. It seems like maybe this cycle is lasting a little bit longer. So we have not been the only ones that have dealt with this. Other parts of the state have dealt with several more cases. And so the best way to think of pertussis really is, here's your index case, and then this is a spider web of all the people that are exposed and all the contacts. And there are some of us that absolutely detest investigating pertussis because it's complicated. And trying to get people to understand, well, yes, you do fit the definition of a close contact, and I'm sorry, you don't fit the definition. Everybody just wants the antibiotics so that they can get on with life. That's not how it works, right? So pertussis is the big thing. Still watching measles. So it's not in the state. However, we have spring break going on, and that just happened at the colleges and universities. So we're hoping, because a lot of spring breakers go to Florida, Texas, and they're still dealing with measles cases down there. So we're hoping. So those are 2 things that we're just kind of watching at this point in time. I'd like to say that we're all sitting with fingers crossed, because we are. And certainly we hope that in our talks with colleges and universities last year about preparing your students for measles and what happens if they come back with a positive case, we hope that those colleges and universities actually followed through and did some of that already.
How many cases of whooping cough did we have in the last prior 2 winters?
I'd have to go look. I'll be honest. I don't know.
Is this a significant increase, or do we usually have a couple always, or?
Probably have a couple always. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It was probably a significant increase. So it doesn't ever truly go away. It's just kind of under the radar. So.
How many total people are served by public health on an average year?
That depends on how you want to define that, okay? So for instance, for February, I just took February. So we have homemaking clients, we have personal care clients, and we have clients who are medication setups. So those you could say are your quote unquote home care people, right? And so we have 15 homemaker clients. We have 4 personal care clients, so people who are getting help with a bath, and medication setups, that's 4 individuals. That could actually increase. But we also do loan closet. and we do foot clinic, and then we do our STI testing. And then there's all the phone calls that come in, and the people that come in looking for WIC, looking for questions or have questions about the sharps disposal, have questions about where do I get my water tested. So in February, there were 19 rentals for loan closet equipment. So those people, the 19 people may have rented one piece, they may have rented 2 or 3 pieces. I didn't count pieces of equipment. But then there were about 23 returns. So they were not the same people. So these were people who rented equipment in possibly December or January and don't need it now. So that all depends on kind of what's happening with surgeries. Okay, so lately there's been a lot of people coming in because surgeries are busy. Okay, obviously if somebody has a colonoscopy, they're not coming in to get equipment from us. They are looking for other equipment. All right, so new hips, new knees, they're needing some equipment. And they want it to be cost effective. So they don't want to have to go and buy a commode or buy a walker because they know that they're not going to need it long. So they rent it. $20.
Does that generate a year?
I didn't bring that necessarily, well, did I bring that information? Actually brings in a decent amount. We are the only place that has loan closet. Okay, and so that's a positive thing for us.
And it's a good alternative for people that don't
Huge.
need to buy it.
Right.
Right. We
It's
have-
really expensive to buy.
Knee or hip replacement, you only know you're gonna need it for 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever.
Right.
and Hopefully not never need it again, if it worked right.
Right. That is actually lumped into a couple of our nursing services category, and so I don't have that truly broken down. So then there's foot clinic, right? So in February, there were 49 foot clinic people. And that depends on the number of Tuesdays and Thursdays that there are in a month.
We have 32. That was on last
That would have been the previous year.
previous year.
Yeah, previous year, in parentheses is the previous year. So there were 49. I counted, okay? And so there's 6 people per clinic session. And then we had an extra person who came in. So we actually had 49 based on funds and counting all those people, which is a lot of people.
So that 49 plus the home care plus the med setups. It's a lot more than 13.
It's way more than 13, right. Again, it just varies from month to month, right? And so, loan closet can vary, our STI testing can vary, but our things that are probably most consistent is that, like I said, the home care component and our foot clinic. So we're constantly getting phone calls from new individuals who've either heard from current clients that foot clinic is the place to go, or they've had a bad experience with podiatry and they don't want to go back. And so we hear that a lot. And so, we try not to ask those questions. We're like, that's between you and your provider, but we're glad to help them. Right. And so they are getting an assessment when they're coming in. We're taking a look at their foot health. And so if you think about it, when you go to the doctor, do you take your shoes and socks off? Does your doctor actually look at your feet? Not necessarily, right? If you fit the definition of being diabetic, yes, by all means. But for most people, they don't take a look at your feet. And I'm not faulting the doctors on that one, okay? It's just, unless we complain about it, we're not going to, okay? So they get a foot health assessment. We're taking a look at the corns and calluses, which we're not going to trim. We're still going to say, well, you need to talk to your podiatrist about this. Or certainly if there's a reddened area, we're going to ask them some questions about the shoes and how often this has been there. Do you go ahead and get other foot care that's being done? Yes, you should continue to go to podiatry. So, but then again, we've had podiatrists who have diabetics who have come in and have said, my doctor wants me to keep coming here because you guys do a good job. So, that's definitely a needed program. We don't want that one to go away. So it truly does just vary. Some weeks, some months are busier than others. Some days are busier than others. That's just the nature of the business. You kind of can't predict that. We just know when we come in the morning, we don't know what the phone's going to do, or who's gonna come in the door. So for instance, this morning, we already have a phone call, somebody's coming in to rent a wheelchair, they need the leg extender, and they're going to need it for sure a month, if not longer. They had a procedure done on it. And we're able to help them with that. Again, they don't need that equipment long-term. It just ends up sitting in their closet in the garage, then collecting dust, not being useful for anybody.
The questions I'm getting from the community are, is public health going to be there? What services do they provide? So foot clinic,
Foot clinic,
immunizations.
immunizations, because that's still important. Our STI testing. Yeah, that's one of our goals that we have kind of started to identify in our strategic plan, that we want to make sure that people understand what we do. And, getting that information out to people sometimes is a challenge because people latch on to information when they need it, right? So we could talk about a loan closet now. Well, if I don't need it for a year, I might not remember that loan closet is there.
And where do people find you on the internet to see the services? that you
So we
provide?
do have an active website as well as Facebook. And so they can go to Winneshiek Public Health for our Facebook and for the website, winneshiekhealth.org. You can always give us a call. Unfortunately, because of how things are set up, we're not listed in the phone book. None of the county offices are in the phone book.
Who uses a phone book?
There are still some people who do use the phone book. And so, give us a call. So
Did you say SDI or STD?
STI, STD, same thing.
So what do we need here for the funding for the new charting software?
So, right, that was my next thing moving down. So our current software system that we have now is called NetSmart My Unity. So way back when I first came on scene, the agency started with FileMaker Pro. Okay, that was a system. We had laptops, we stuck a little disk in, saved it. We took it down to the office and said, here's what I need you to print from this. They would print it, clear it, and we would have the disk back. And that's how we did our charting, labor intensive. Back in 2002-03, we transitioned to NetSmart's MISIS system. And so MISIS was a brand new thing for us, obviously. We were able to chart, and unfortunately, or fortunately, we didn't have to use a disk, but we were able to upload things to a server. And so you always had to sync your computers morning and night so that you would have the latest information. Regardless of whether or not you saw the client or somebody else did, you needed to make sure that you had the most current information. We stuck with that program until 2021, 1 and 2, where we said 22, 23. I'll get my dates right. Where we said we want people to be able to have real-time data. And so just like you go to the hospital, you go to the clinic, they're documenting right there in the office, same type of situation with us, okay? That's the gold standard, so that you're not having to write things down and go, okay, well, this is what their blood pressure was. You can actually put it into the system and somebody at the office can see, oh, they're at this office or at this client's home. This is what their blood pressure is, this. And so that availability and being able to do that and having it cloud hosted was an expensive program, right? At the time, it was just made for home care, still is just made for home care. Again, more for that certified home care, okay? The ones who are billing Medicaid, Medicare, and all the insurances. We've decertified, and so we're able to do all of these programs that I've talked about, providing the home care, providing the personal cares, the medication setups, doing loan closet, foot clinic, STI, and other programs. We're able to do that as a decertified agency. And we have a new software that we would like to transition to that will capture all of it. So we'd be able to put everything into this software system and have it stored there into a secure site. So our foot clinic people, they have a separate paper that they fill out. And we document on that. With this new system, it would basically be on an iPad, they would sign, and the nurse would document everything in that iPad. It's up in the cloud, the paper ends up going away. Same with our STI testing. They fill out an assessment form, it goes into the system, so we're able to see it, we're able to lock it down so that only certain people, only the nurse and I are able to actually see what those answers are, what the results are, and to go ahead and request the services from the state hygienic lab, okay? So we're able to do all of that. So we see that as the benefit. The other thing, and so the fee for that is considerably cheaper. However, I'm just gonna talk about this. So it's $9,600 a year. But there is a 3% cost of doing business adjustment that ends up being waived for prepaid years. We're not talking about doing any prepayment. Our current system, we were locked into 3 years. This system, we are not locked into anything except 1 year at a time. But then there's a $6,000 training and implementation fee. That's pretty standard with anything. And so the total amount that we would be requesting for starting in June, but we would actually be starting to train sooner instead of later, because our current system goes dark May 31st, is $15,610. So the other thing that the current system and the other systems that we've had in the past and the new system would have is what we call a time log, right? So I can't share these because these have some client names on them. But this is daily activity from the time we get to the office to the time we leave the office to anything that happens at night or on the weekends that we are busy working on. So each month, Teresa, our biller, and I run different reports. She does different grant billing, I do different grant billing, and we have to do calculations. So we have to read through each of these and determine, okay, well, this is for emergency preparedness, this is for local public health, this is for immunizations, this. So we have to separate that out. And we do run it on each of our staff members because we never know who's all working with what. So there's lots of different descriptions. We try to be fairly concise in those descriptions, but then here's another person's, everything that they did. It's just kind of a line list of everything that happens, okay? And so it's nice that we have these reports that we're able to access. Something that we're required to have it for grant billing. They want to see, okay, show me the time log of the person that did this for emergency preparedness, because they want to make sure it matches up, obviously, right? So there's that. So that is in our current system. It takes about half an hour to probably run the reports, and then takes at least another hour to 2 hours to go through each of those reports to make sure that we're capturing everything that we need to capture. So it's still labor intensive. We're not able to just run a report that will say this much activity was spent on local public health. That's a much more complicated grant. We are or would be able to run different reports that will just have immunizations, just have emergency preparedness. So mine is probably the most labor intensive report. That's just how that is. So
The current software that's ending May 31st, whatever, how much does that cost annually?
it's about 36,000, which is a lot. That had all the bells and whistles to meet compliance for CMS for Medicare, Medicaid. Again, we don't need that anymore. We are still using that to, one, do the time logs. And so we use that information to put on the timesheets, right? But we also are using it to do any documentation for our homemaker, our personal care, our medication setup clients. So it's not being used in the most efficient way.
So in round numbers, the new software will save about 25,000 per year in annual maintenance, but it has this extra 6,000 upfront fee.
It does. Yeah, technically, so for each year, it's $9,600. So that's, that's 25% of what we're currently paying, which is huge. But this new software called Champ or Nightingale Notes is actually made for public health agencies. And so they're over in Mankato, Minnesota. More and more counties are, okay, thank you. More and more counties are starting to look at just some public health software. So it's an opportunity for this. Ultimately, the decision is yours. Okay, we know that. It wasn't in the budget. We knew that the new system, or excuse me, we knew that the current system was expiring at the end of May. We didn't know what that all looked like as far as what our opportunities were. And so again, it wasn't in the budget. We know that we would have to work with you with a budget amendment. But again, ultimately that decision is yours. We do have plans B, C, and probably D. We are home health by trade, public health by trade. We know how to improvise, right? We do it on the fly on an everyday basis. And so we're flexible in that aspect.
So we're gonna have to allocate another 16,000 into this budget year?
Into this budget year. And basically, you don't have to take any action today because you're gonna do a budget amendment in about a little over a month. But she wants to get it signed up and get the training in. She doesn't want to wait till you do your budget amendment to get the training because it'll be too late. So she wants to make sure you're on board with this budget amendment before she proceeds to the next steps, because otherwise they won't have enough money in their current budget.
It's future savings though, so I don't know why we wouldn't do this. Future savings on software. And you're gonna be up at the end of May with the current one.
The Board of Health did approve it, but Mark had suggested we come to you and just make you aware that this was out there. And again, it's your decision. I can't tell you.
I mean, the Board of Health gets to decide how to spend the money. You allot them, but if you don't plan, yeah, exactly. So if you don't promise or you don't agree that this is okay, that you'll do the budget amendment and they proceed with it anyway, then they don't have enough money to pay something else between now and the end of the year.
So we're still gonna be short on our budgeting. Probably
How many
another
companies,
30,000 besides that.
how many companies do provide this type of service to, since we've got 3,300 or 3,600 counties in the nation, how many counties other than provide software like this, or how many others are using a software like this? Stewart or Stanford Nightingale? Are there other vendors besides the NetSmart or the Nightingale for the small operation that we have by comparison?
There are some other vendors, yes. NetSmart is going to be more that home health component. For just public health, I only am aware of Nightingale Notes and Patagonia that I've heard about. And I've not heard anybody who's using Patagonia. I just heard it mentioned. I did try to take a peek on their website, and I'm not able to see a whole heck of a lot. It doesn't necessarily look as user-friendly. There are agencies here in Iowa that are strictly public health, so Webster County is one that I can think of. They have gone to Nightingale Notes Champ software because they're just public health. So this way you can build it to fit your needs. I suppose if you were a certified agency and wanted to use Champ, the Nightingale Notes, you probably could. But you'd have to build it that way. There are other softwares that are appropriate for, again, the Medicare certified agencies. I've not paid attention to those because I'm not certified anymore, so I'm like, not gonna clock
That would
mine.
be paying for something you don't need.
Right, right.
Which is why the old one was so expensive, is because it met Medicare, Medicaid.
And to stay compliant with Medicare and Medicaid is costly, so you have to have the software. I do know.
That's why you for sure are not gonna renew the current software, because that would be a waste.
Right.
Because that's-
I do know of one county they're doing things using Excel. And I don't really know how that works.
So but you didn't reach out to Patagonia to find out anything about what they even have available?
I didn't, because I've only heard them mentioned by name.
And you don't know anybody who uses them, whereas you do know someone who uses Nightingale. and
Right.
Has success.
Right, and so part of that is in our local public health contract. One of the things that we get asked is which software are you using? And so Patagonia was listed, Nightingale Notes was listed. So those were the two for the public health, but then they listed NetSmart. I think they listed, I'm going to say Healthcare First, and that's no longer in existence. That's under a different name now. So some of those more certified agencies are going to use those. Nightingale Notes had more people. I think there was maybe one person who was using Patagonia, and I don't remember who they were.
So it is possible to accomplish this without like the software developer one. You said somebody's using Excel.
Somebody's using Excel. They're not doing, they're just doing public health. They're not doing homemaking. They're not doing any of that home care stuff. Like the homemaker, the personal care, they're not doing any medication setups.
We've got
But they're also not doing foot clinic. I don't know what all they.
13 clients for, we were paying 30,000 a year. Or 30s, almost 40,000 a year for 13 clients. For a homemaker, I mean, that's a lot per client it was. And now we'll be at 10,000 a year, short 10,000 a year for 13 homemaker clients.
That's because we were tied into that contract. for
Yeah,
what-
yeah.
And we had actually taken a look at, were we able to buy out of that contract any sooner? Would we get any cost savings? No, there was nothing.
And the important distinction is that the new software wouldn't be just your homemaking.
Right, it's everything. We're going to
The
put
old
foot
one
clinic
was-
in, we're going to put our STIs in, our loan closet, we're gonna put everything.
We'll put out this time report.
Yeah, it will still create a time report for us so that we can do our grant billing. So
And your board already approved it.
they did contingent on what you said. So, yeah, we see this as an all-encompassing
So this,
software for everything. Anything that we can put into it, we're going to do it.
so what drives all of this basically is the 15 homemaking people we have.
13 we had last month. That's what I got in my
13,
on
so
administrative report, there was 13
So we have
last month.
15 current homemaker clients. We have 4 personal care clients. We have 4 medication setups. So that's the home care part. All right. But we have all of our foot clinic, we have our loan
So that's
closet,
30.
all of that. We're able to put into this particular system and retrieve it. It's much more secure than having it in a file cabinet that's locked. We did work with IT. We've had them take a look at it because this is cloud-based. They have not said that they have any qualms about it at all. So that's a good thing. They believe that our hardware that we have, computers, iPads, all that, laptops, are quite sufficient for what we would want this to do. So there's not been a question with that. I did sit on a cybersecurity webinar last Thursday. And based on everything that is in there, everybody should be scared to death to use a computer at this point in time. And we're all supposed to go back to pencil and paper. Just because there's a lot of things out there and people are human. Right, so I did send a notice that we had received from CMS about cybersecurity to our IT department because medical is getting hit hard with the things that are happening across the world in the sandbox over there. That has been a concern. Stryker, which supplies medical equipment, was struck. They were hit with cybersecurity issues, and they are anticipating more in healthcare in particular. So they talked about how public health has a lot of records and sometimes they're easy targets.
How was
So
the foot clinic billed out? Is that a flat fee?
that is a flat fee. Yes.
Is it
So,
paid for right on site that
Yep.
day?
yep.
You raised your fee up to 30?
We raised our fees from 30 to 45. And that was in November. We did lose a few people who didn't like that new fee. But we've also gained people. And we've kept some. So most people
You
are
haven't
coming,
had any trouble filling in the slots. There's still a waiting.
there's still a waiting list, yes. Most
Not
people,
like the dentist where it's 6 months, but maybe it's Not next week.
Right, not like that. People know that they don't want to cancel their appointments. They're like, I hate to do this, but hopefully you can fill this. It's usually there's a, crisis at home with a loved one or something. And so people are coming in every 8 to 12 weeks for foot clinic. So it's a recurring type of session there.
How's it going with this committee that was set up to look at privately doing some of this?
So that's that advisory committee.
That have met.
They've been working. So they're doing the strategic planning first before they start talking about if there's any services that should go away.
They've had 3 meetings now.
3 or 4.
What's their timeline?
So we have another meeting coming up where we talk about the goals. And then there's a couple more meetings after that. And then we start breaking off and doing some more check-ins. So some of those check-ins will probably just happen with me. But the advisory committee will then be able to start having some of those discussions about, are there things that we want to transition? Do we want to add some services? What might that look like? And then how does that work? Or are there some services that are beneficial to go ahead and
Outsource if you
Outsource.
want to use.
Yeah,
the
so
term.
outsource, right?
So with the state, we're down there about the state is requiring you have a contract with a local hospital.
So Senate File 2432 it was originally written to change the local boards of health structure. And it did some of that in that bill, but then there was the component that's saying that hospitals, it actually said hospitals have to acquire public health agencies. Well, hospitals don't want to do that because it totally messes up their Medicare reimbursement. Okay, we know that. There's also things that are happening at the federal level. So the Medicare and Medicaid cuts that have happened are being funneled down to the state. The state is then saying, we're not going to put that. You said it best, Ben. The state is saying, I'm going to make the counties do this. It's good for you as counties, but the state, we don't have to follow that.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they're doing. And so it's kind of almost a shell game, right? So your hands are being tied for services, for not being able to raise levies. But then you have families out there with their 2.5 kids who are maybe paying for childcare, which can be expensive. And I'm not saying that childcare should be. They provide fascinating services. Some of those families are one small crisis away from losing everything and needing all of the services that they pay their taxes for. So we've seen an increase in the number of people coming to us who don't have insurance for immunizations, and they're adults. We've got a provider who is saying, you know what, you need to go public health. They have these shots. This is what you need. That's awesome that we're able to do that. That wouldn't necessarily existed before. So.
Well, I was just asking because that was talk.
Right, so Senate File 2432 has been revamped a few times now. So it was amended to basically eliminate the city of Dubuque's health department. So the city of Dubuque has their own health department. They provide childcare lead poisoning activities for their entire county, as well as the tattoo and pool inspections for all of Dubuque County. They also do other public health things, but Dubuque County also has a public health department, and they do things as well. So I kind of think the city of Dubuque's health department is in limbo. It's been amended again to have some further discussions about what does this possibly look like as far as sharing spaces, maybe some possible services. So it's only been through subcommittee and committee. We'll have to see what happens when it actually hits the floor and is up for discussion. I know that Iowa League of Cities and ISAC, as well as the Iowa Hospital Association, are completely against it. And so, as is public health, I'll be honest. And so we're concerned that a lot of the public health services that people know and utilize now will go away if there's some mergers. So there's concerns all the way around. So we are paying close attention to that bill. And we just have to wait and see what happens with this.
I guess the good news is a 1 year. So we could, if things change,
What you're kind of committing yourself with the $6,000 training.
which is,
In
but,
implementation.
so otherwise we could say, let's go ahead and work with IT or outside contractors to put together an Excel program that would do this.
Is that a common?
And that's, spend that one-time fee on paying somebody to develop an Excel
Yeah.
program that would do all of
Hear
this
what you're saying.
internally. I mean, I'm not saying what.
Is that a common public health practice to inspect tattoo parlors and swimming pools?
Yeah.
And so you get to do the tattoo parlor inspections and reporting to the state?
I don't do that. So in the past, we had a contract with Cerro Gordo County. And they did all the restaurant inspections for several counties here in Northeast Iowa. The restaurant inspection fees did not pay for that. And so they ended up just doing Cerro Gordo's restaurants. And now the state comes up and does our restaurant inspections. Those, the state will even say they don't happen at the rate or frequency that they should happen. Okay, so the tattoo and the swimming pools. The
Way
state,
back when Doug did those. I mean, I remember. when
correct,
Doug did our, because Doug is technically 85% of his salary is a public health function of the sanitarian, and he used to do the tattoo inspection.
yep, he did, and then that went away and the state contracted with an individual, I believe, from Mitchell County, who provided those services, and so that person would share information with Doug and would come and do the tats and then the pool inspections. That would mean the public pools as well as the hotel swimming pools. And that is still happening. I don't know if that individual is still doing it or if it's somebody else. I'll be honest with
But
you.
it doesn't fall within our purview
It doesn't.
per se.
No,
Not
no,
like it
no.
used to.
Right, right. But it does happen. Yeah. All of those
But
things.
you do the radon, or the radon kits, and Doug does the water. Does Doug do the radon?
Doug does not do the radon. We just sell the radon kits. We don't even try to interpret results. We do give people resources for who they can contact to help them interpret those results and to help them figure out if they need to do radon mitigation and how to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to get into that.
So you sell the kits.
We sell the kits. And that's actually something that happens in a lot of public health agencies too.
What would the difference?
Selling the
between
kits.
Those kits and what you'd buy at a hardware store? Are they the same kit?
Hardware stores are gonna be a little bit more expensive.
How much are yours?
Ours are $20. To go to the hardware store, you're going to pay $25, $30, and then you need to pay another $20 to maybe to get the results. It's, yeah,
So you're planning to lose the results.
and we don't get the results, you do.
I see what you're saying, Mark, and I think there would be a huge cost savings if we could
Yeah.
find someone to put together an Excel program.
For $16,000, you'd have something you'd be able to maintain indefinitely then. And that would be just for this year, so you could probably get it done for less than that, and our internally, we could probably do a lot of work with it, but I'm not an expert, and I don't know what you need for federal state compliance verification.
But yeah, for what few clients we got for,
How much do we receive on the public health grant?
About $55,000.
That number stood in my mind.
I mean, I would say since we're at this point and they need to do something in the next 2 months, we're not gonna get something developed and that's, they're probably gonna have to bite the bullet and spend the extra $6,000, but that's nothing long-term if you can develop your own internal program of saving 8,000 a year.
Mark, did you say there's $30,000 shortfall?
yeah, they're gonna be short more than just 15.
Well, and you've been working
Yeah,
with Teresa and
yeah,
myself. They're
they're still. gonna
Chris's
be-
budget person, and we've got some monthly reports, and we'll put together the actual budget amendment request next month. I mean, you're technically still way under budget because they haven't funded the whole budget. We were at like at 70% of the budget, because you knew there were gonna be changes. So we have to amend the budget down to match what your intent was for funding. And so how much down we can go, we'll have to see, because part of it is how much revenue they get in between now and then too, because you wanted it to, the goal was to be the number 350 plus the revenue, I think it was what our goal was. And so we gotta also get a good handle on what the revenue will be till the end of the year, so we can get that number. I think that it's close. It's gonna be short because of the people they laid off a month and a half ago, and there was also some built up vacation time and comp time that had to get paid out when they got laid off. So that made a little bit bigger dent than what we first calculated, but they're close without this program, within, 10 or 15,000, but with this program, it's gonna be 30 rather than 15 or whatever. And don't quote me on those numbers, because that's still, we haven't done the final calculations yet.
That's speculating revenue and.
So we just can't, they say, well, go ahead with it, but I also think it'd be interesting if we did.
Looking at one vendor when we always look at more than one vendor. That's the hard part.
But I think even so, we should consult with our own IT people and see, is there a possibility along that we can develop?
That this vendor is way cheaper than going with the current vendor. I mean, that would be,
Even with the training.
Yeah.
Current vendor.
yeah,
One-time training.
No offense or buts about that.
Yeah.
It's got all the bells and whistles and.
yeah.
we need that.
Well, we've got Krista here. Is there any other comment that might come up next week or that I have here this week? On any of this?
I'd like to see them looking at another vendor, but if you don't think there are any, then kind of stuck, it appears, to bite the bullet. And we still, a year later, we still have our surrounding counties that are using hospitals, and we don't have the same problem, and I don't hear scuttlebutt that says they're leaving those situations.
No.
I think, so what I'm hearing, and you correct me, Ben, is even if you proceed with this vendor this time, don't wait till, a year from now when you're getting close to the contract. They want you to look into it,
Right.
6 months from now, start looking into, is there some, could you develop your own, or can you find an Excel program that another county uses that we could adapt to us or whatever, so that a year from now, we aren't re-signing for another year if we can find something that's cheaper, I think is what
I
they're
think
saying.
that's.
Or if public health changes. I mean, if we outsource some of the programs or something, if it ends up that we, send all of our home care aid people go through the hospital or whatever it is, then maybe we don't need as much of a program.
You're still looking at $20,000 a year savings in software.
But also, I think, looking at, is there
So
something,
moving forward,
could we do something, even if we
totally.
are out to 6,000 to spend on training? Is where they're- so, anyway.
And then it covers all of it. Right, it's a good piece.
I don't think we
Trying to
could
be
do
more
our due
inclusive.
diligence if we didn't look into
And
that.
after using it for a year, you'll know better how it works. I mean, maybe 6 months from now, you'll say, this program isn't as great as we thought it was gonna be, and so you will wanna be looking for something else anyway. But you're at the end of the,
Yeah, on the right side, it is only a 1 year.
yes, that was the bad thing with the current year, is that we were stuck,
It was a 3-year.
yeah.
And with Champ, you could sign a 3-year, you could sign a 5-year contract, helps you to lock in your rates. I mean, it's security for them, right? That's what it is. And in some ways, it's security for you because you've got a locked in rate. But that's where they say,
3% a year, taking that chance isn't worth it, I don't think.
right.
Not given the landscape of what might happen.
Yeah, because we don't know what the state will do. I mean, that's the thing with almost all of our programs. We have no idea from year to year.
And we've made no inquiries to either one of our other medical providers to see what they would do. We haven't even given them a list of what it is. in almost a year that we've asked for this. And that's the part that still bothers me.
But you know, on that, I like that the advisory committee is taking their time to create a mission statement and a vision statement and get that foundation in place to then go toward what the goals would be. How do you do your goals without your mission and vision? It's a process and it does take time, and I'm glad they're doing it.
I'm
right.
glad it's moving ahead.
Yes, and, you know, so you take a look at those programs, do they fit with that mission and vision, or do they
Right.
not?
Right.
And so that's how you do that.
And
I
I
realize it seems
I
long,
think
like
it's
I said, but it's-
important too to realize that, I mean, it isn't all or nothing. I mean, there are counties that don't have any local services provided except through the hospital, and there's counties like us that don't have, that all of our public health services are through public health and we don't send any. But there may be some hybrid that is better for everybody. If
And
when
we
you
kind
get
of
to
share
that,
some clients.
yeah, when you get to
where-
that point, you might find out, well, this part of our programs, we don't make enough money to justify the expense, but the hospital is willing to do it for this much. Maybe we let them do that, or one of the clinics or one of the other healthcare providers.
Okay. Thank you.
So is the consensus is that I just want to make sure, and I'll put it in the notes, the consensus is to let them proceed with the purchase of this new implementation of this new software.
Choice. I think it's the economical choice at this point.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else? Thanks, Krista.
Thank you.
Looks like we got everything taken care of, guys.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion.
Do we have that public hearing next open bids
Yes, that's next week.
next week?
I have received one so far, and it wasn't one of the previous bidders, so. I'll send out after, the Thursday's the deadline, so Friday I'll just send what the bids are so that you have a chance to look at them over the weekend before the public hearing, but yeah.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Who's second?
Sure. This end, this time.
pardon?
You're
It wasn't enough.
Switch the switch down there.
Yeah,
Switch.
you hardly ever do the motion to adjourn.
This is a big switch.
In round numbers, it was like 600 and whatever. Per year increase or something, but I just say just under 10,000.
Or just pick out 20, 30.
Well, 9,600 and 6,000. 9,600 and 6,000.
345.
9,600.
But the final number was 15,610, is a percentage in there or something?
9610 is the
9610.
9610 is the yearly rate, and there's a $6,000.
And then it's 3% per year increase, and the 9,610 if we keep it after the first year. But the key takeaway there was the current software costs like 36,000 a
There's
year.
no attention I've had.
So that's the big saving part of it, so,
36.
yeah.
They're right at 40,000 a year. Yeah. For 13 clients.
13 clients.
Great.
And we're not mandated to do home health care nor STD testing.
Right.
Yeah, neither one of them. And yes, it's nice that they can have that.
I've been following you on that. Yeah.
Okay, Fatima, there's only 2 in here. Thank you.
Let's do that.